Hello, my spooky scaries, and welcome to an all new episode of The Final Pod, where I talk all things spooky all the time. I'm your host, Ezra Rivers, and today's episode is about The Strangers Chapter 1, which I have a lot of shit to get off my chest about. But first and foremost, before we get into today's episode, please be sure to check out the show on Instagram at The Final Pod. Give the show a like, follow, subscribe, and a rating, but most of all, sit back and enjoy the show. Okay, so I'm just going to be jumping right into it. I do want to say, just a heads up, this is going to be a spoiler included review. I've decided that the way I process a movie and kind of how I form my opinion is I break it down kind of from beginning to end. And with that, with me sharing my opinions, I'm going to share it in that format as well. So just go pause the show. Didn't mean that to rhyme, but hey, it did. Pause the show, go check out the movie. Um, it's not terrible, it's not great, so I'm not telling you to go spend your money and watch it. Do that at your own will. It's it's kind of fun. It has its moments, but anyway, yeah. So we will include spoilers in this. I'm gonna talk about everything, exactly how I feel about it, what to expect, what I'm expecting for the future of the franchise, of the trilogy. And yeah, kind of really just get into it all because as someone who is a 90s baby, I feel like I mention that all the time. I'm proud of it, whatever. I grew up in that whole 2000s horror and that really cheesy era of horror movies where we did get some, movies that kind of went on to become pop culture staples versus, box office hits and successes. Um, with that said, I am a very big fan of the original The Strangers with Liv Tyler. I think there's something about the entire feel and atmosphere about that film that really kind of sucks you in and really doesn't let you go until the very last moment. And even with the last final sort of jump of the reveal that she's not dead, was it did something for the genre. It gave it was a horror movie that was very much a horror movie, but really relies on the atmosphere and the suspense of the surroundings that these characters find themselves in. And I feel like with that was something that I believe I mentioned on a previous episode, was something that they needed to keep, and it was something that they really needed to hone in on and hold true to for making it a reimagining of the first film that now is going to lead into two more. I think what they needed most was that those long moments of kind of dead silence in the film where you feel uncomfortable with the characters. And I think, unfortunately, with The Strangers Chapter 1, that's the one thing that they were missing. I mean, and it's no fault to the actors, but I think the script needed something as well as, like, the atmosphere and the sets and the designs, which were great at the same time, but it was missing that, like, dreadful kind of feeling of being in that home with these characters. The suspense and the grip that it has on you is really missing from The Stranger Chapter 1, and I think it's because it's trying to be more modern, which is great, whatever, but I think it's trying to appeal to a different audience than what The Strangers initially was intended for. With that being said, this one feels very much of 2024, of current time and year. And I feel like the original Strangers kind of felt ahead of its time. It felt like it was giving something that wasn't really being honed in on in the genre. And that's sad. And I think that kind of sucks, because that for me is what really made me a fan of the original film. And I think the fact that this reboot, this reimagining, this retelling, this what whatever the hell we're gonna call it is missing the key factor of what made the original so special and why it has the fans that it does, and that sucks. I think it had so much potential. The film is really held together by Madeleine Pesch, who plays Maya. I think again we have a scenario where I don't really care for the male lead in the film, which that at least stayed true to the OG of the movie and of the franchise itself, right? I didn't like the original lead. I thought his character was very pointless. For me, it just doesn't add anything to the story, didn't add anything to the scenario. And then I feel like with this remake, reboot, reimagining has also done the same thing. So hey, at least we stuck true to that, right? We stayed true to the fact that Ezra doesn't like the lead. So hey, we have that. But there's a reason why I don't like him in the film, which I'll get into. Anyway, okay, so movie starts with a random guy who we have no idea who the hell he is, what he does, where he's from, whatever, running through the woods, being chased. He's obviously trying to get away from the strangers, who eventually catch up to him. Shocker. He's killed off screen, which was kind of weird for me. Again, I felt like from what we know with like the nail in the hand and the shooting of the homeowner of the Airbnb that they're in, I think with knowing that we see those scenes, I wasn't really sure why the opening kill was cut off. For me, I guess it was supposed to lead to the suspense and the like, oh my god, what happened to him? What did they do? But we end up seeing the body later in the film, and it's just in the woods, in a ditch, in some leaves. Anyway, so if I'm correct, then we cut. They're driving, Maya and Ryan, who are our main characters. They're on an anniversary? No, she has a job interview somewhere. See, this is how I really didn't pay attention to the small details that I would have if everything was different. Anyway, they're on a trip. I believe they're driving to a job opportunity interview for Maya, but they're also celebrating their anniversary, which is something that coincides with their trip and kind of gives them the whole romantic feel and the horror that I guess we're supposed to get. Anyway, they pull over for some food after almost crashing the car. They meet the townsfolk. The townsfolk already give like the creepy vibes, but they're not creepy enough for me. Like, I feel like when they shot the film, they were going for something that didn't really give off. I think they kind of wanted to give like a wrong turn and not necessarily Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but that whole vibe of like steering off course and just finding a town full of people that are very odd because the town is so small. They're not really equipped to modernization as far as like how they act, whatever the case may be, and it didn't really give that. I think we were supposed to get this whole creepy townspeople, creepy diner thing, and it just kind of fell flat for me. I wasn't really scared of them. I was kind of more on their side because you people coming up in here, you looking at people funny. You don't know what's like. As a New Yorker, that's kind of how we are, and I was just more so like, get out of their diner, get your food, go about your day. Any hoosers. We then meet the mechanic who is gonna fix their car. There's something wrong with it, and Ryan's very like, no, these people are setting us up. They obviously want this to happen. They were watching us when we drove in. Maya's more so on the, don't piss these people off. We don't need no beef. Just let them do it. We'll be fine, and we'll leave in the morning. Ryan, who was elected at first, gives in. Whatever. They book this Airbnb. And they meet the two creepy little kids from, I guess they're supposed to be the same kids from the original film who we see on their bikes. Whatever. They were supposed to be a jump scare. It didn't really scare me. I was just like, get out. Like, let's go. Come on, move. So they get to the Airbnb. It's cute. I personally liked it. It was a little too secluded for me in the sense of there's like nobody around, which is why these motherfuckers get caught up and can't get no help and can't get out. But it was cute. They arrive and it's a little. I mean, it's very cliche Airbnb in the woods. Whatever, they're settling in. They're trying to do a little whoopee. That gets interrupted by the 3 knocks at the door. We get the infamous question, which has been reshaped for this movie, which is Tamra here, I guess? If I'm correct, I think that's the new version of it, is Tamra here versus is Tamra home in the original. I think that's what happened, because I was a little like, that's not even a quote. I also didn't like the imagining of their costumes, really. I think what kind of scared me more so in the first one, especially with the first knocks at the door, are the fact that you can't see the faces. Like, you can't see Dollface, but you can see the long hair. And I think with the original film, seeing that silhouette in the doorway as they open the door with the long hair but not seeing her face was kind of creepy. This version, they have hats on. They have like the Scully caps on, so you don't really see the hair at all. Actually, the long blonde hair is not seen throughout any of the film, which was upsetting for me aesthetically. Again, I feel like it gives to the horror, it gives to the atmosphere, it gives to the whole vibe and the setting of the film. And I think, we had 2 films where they had a very certain look, and I'm all for changing and like sprucing up. I just wish we would have seen more homage to the original characters as far as wardrobe goes. I think, like, if I'm correct, the original killer, the Scarecrow killer, was in like a tuxedo suit in the first one, or some kind of suit. And then we see the guy in the beginning of the film get killed and he's wearing a suit. I think it would have been cool to then see the Scarecrow with that suit, maybe the exact same suit, like he literally took it off his body to change his appearance, something like that. But the outfits are different, threw me off. Any hoosers. We get the Is Tamra home, well, Is Tamra here scene. It's still creepy, just didn't give what it should have, could have. Anyway, they go. Ryan then needs his inhaler. Maya realizes that she left it in the car. He says that he needs it, so he's gonna go take the motorcycle off front to the town, get the inhaler from the car, and then he'll be right back. This, of course, leaves our final girl Maya home alone in the Airbnb, where things start going to shit, right? This is where the fun kicks in, I guess. She's pretty much stalked throughout, I want to say maybe like 10 minutes. Not really sure on the timestamp, but she's kind of stalked and like followed around the house. We see Scarecrow inside the house. Power shuts off. And then we see Dollface for the first time, which leads to Maya kind of running and trying to find cover and hiding. That part was cool. I was here for it. I thought the way Ryan tried to cover it up when he finally got home. I don't want to say cover it up, because not saying that he was involved, but the way that he tried to explain the situation was just like, so if you don't know because you haven't seen it, Maya ends up smoking a joint right before things start going crazy, right? So when Ryan comes back, he asks if she was smoking or whatever because he smells it in the house. And she's like, yeah, I smoked a little bit. And then there's a painting in the main room, which is of sort of like a doll face. And so Ryan kind of tells her, like, well, you're high, the lights went out, I would be seeing things too. Is this what you think you saw? And I was just like, okay, we're gonna blame the weed. We're gonna say she was high, cool, and just like dismiss it completely. I don't think I've ever been under any influence. Not that I do every influence or whatever the case may be, but I don't never think I've been like that to that point where I'm seeing like full blown figures in front of me. And I think for them to kind of brush it off with like, oh, you just smoked a little too much weed was kind of, it was very millennial. It was very no, not millennial. It was very like Gen Z or whoever's after me, because I feel like they thought, oh well, that's pretty cool, let's just say she's too high. Anyway, they turn the lights back on, and now it's time to eat the food that he had gotten. Oh, also, see, this is how much I really don't care about him. Ryan goes into town to get the inhaler. He stops, he gets food for them, and he sees the people from the diner who are now kind of out enjoying a night out after work, just at this like burger spot, drinking and having some food. They ask him to join. He says no. To me, truthfully, I'm just gonna throw this in there, I think the townspeople are the strangers. And why I say that is because at the beginning of the film, where the guy is killed, are the same woods where Maya and Ryan are now, which is in that little town area. And it just gives me vibes that it's the town people. I guess we'll figure it out later as the series goes on, because no one is unmasked in this movie. Anyway, so they turn the lights back on. They go, they are either eating. He's like a messy eater. He has food all over his face, which I was just like, bro, use a napkin. Like, okay, it's just... Anyway, he has food all over his face. She comments on the fact that he's a messy eater because he's getting food like everywhere, and it's, he might as well just take a bath with a burger. And then they notice that there's spots of like blood or something dripping in spaces where his hands are not holding the burger, which case in point means that something is dripping from the ceiling. They look up, it's a dead chicken. Someone has broken into the house, killed the chicken, strung it from the light fixture in the dining room, the kitchen, and it's dripping all over the place. At that point, they kind of know that, like, okay, shit's weird now, like, things are really going down. See, this is how much I really don't care about him. If I'm right, there's also a scene in between what I'm already up to now and talking about, where Ryan ends up running after one of the strangers, and he feels like, oh yeah, he's kind of scared them off because it's the second time they've knocked and asked if Tamara was there. He kind of comes out, guns blazing, trying to be Mr. Tough Guy, and scares them off. And that actually happens right before they start eating. It's once he turns the lights on. Yeah. Okay, anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there. Where was I? Chicken, they know shit's hit the fan. They know things are going down. Now it's really kind of time for them to start fighting back, or like at least getting a little smart. This is when he tells Maya to run, shut the door, lock it, and as she touches it and like goes to lock it, the axe hits the door. From there, we see Scarecrow Man breaking in. They run upstairs, whatever. Again, they run upstairs, they run into the room, they lock themselves in, and that's when they slam the door. And this was so like weird to me too, because in the OG, there's a scene where hello is written all over the window, and it's such a reaction, because not only do you realize that they've been inside the house, but it's so creepy and it's so off-putting that, like, right there in the house, and now they've even had the time to like write all this. Anyway, there's such a reaction from the main character, and in this version, as they run upstairs and they lock themselves in a room, the hellos are written all over the door that they lock themselves in, which is the, I guess, master bedroom. And there's like little to no reaction, right? There's no like, oh my god, what the fuck, what is this, oh, when did he do this, there's like no reaction to it. They kind of slam the door, put something in front of it, and it's just like they just look at it. Very anticlimactic for me. As I said, I feel like this movie is just missing all of the big things and the key components that make the original so good. Yeah. So he breaks the door, they hear them leave, they end up coming out, and then I truly forgot what happens after that. All I know is that they end up running back into, they go outside to try to get the motorcycle. That's what it is. Ryan remembers that he has the motorcycle out front, and he's like, yo, let's just get on this and drive out. And Maya's like, okay, but I feel like they're there. And he's like, no, they left. They go. As they get to the motorcycle, it randomly just like blows up and goes up in flames. And I know that we're shown Scarecrow man face mask guy with the gas tank, but for it to just immediately blow up, like we don't see him throw a lighter, a match, there's no like taunting them about anything as like they're getting towards it. Like there's no suspense with it. Everything is also fast. And I feel like with the original film, it was very much drawn out and really spread out across the span of the movie. I feel like with The Strangers Chapter 1, it throws you in it so fast that once everything starts, it quickly ends. And if you see the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It doesn't have a long runtime, which I already knew what was going to make it feel short. But I feel like I've seen movies that have been an hour and 25 minutes, an hour and 30 minutes, whatever the case may be, and have still given enough to feel like a full movie. This one definitely feels like there's an unrated director's cut somewhere that might have been like an hour and 50 minutes and they cut a lot out, which yes happens, but I feel like you don't ever really feel that a movie is missing such big scenes or important scenes or such changes, whereas this one you do. Anyway, they go outside, motorcycle blows up, blah blah blah. They run back in, and I think they lock themselves in a bathroom. Maya realizes that there's a crawl space under the house that they can use and get out. So we have this moment where they get in, they're going through the crawl space. I believe Ryan at first has like a rat on his shoulder and he throws it off or jumps off, whatever the case may be, and it squeaks. That first kind of alerts the strangers that they're there, but they stay quiet. We get a moment where they're walking through the crawl space and Maya doesn't, I don't know how you don't see it, but I guess fear, you got to be in this situation and adrenaline is running and you're just kind of all over the place, that she doesn't see a nail sticking up that's on the floor, slams her hand right on it as she's crawling. Honestly, one of the more uncomfortable scenes, because I feel like as a human being, you put yourself in that situation and you know the pain that person is supposed to be feeling, even though it is a character. You know the pain, and it's just like, god damn, bitch, I know that shit hurts, and you want to fucking scream, but you can't. So Ryan kind of holds her and consoles her for a minute. The one of the strangers, I don't know who, I think it's Pinup Girl this time, Pinup Doll, whatever the hell she's supposed to be, Pinup Girl, hears them. We have this supposed to be tense moment, but again, there's also heavy use of like the creepy atmospheric music in the movie, where I think we could have done without. For instance, them crawling into the crawl space, Pinup Girl upstairs walking along the floor and kind of hearing Maya yelp, should have all been shot with like complete silence and just hearing the dirt under their hands and their knees and then her footsteps upstairs, I think that would have been a lot scarier and caused a lot more tension. So yeah, we have this moment. She has the nail in her hand. They're actually able to get out. I don't remember correctly if he pulls the nail out right then and there. I think he does. And then we move along, right? They get out. They're able to... I'm not sure if this is the shed. Yes. They're able to get out. Ryan finds a shotgun in the shed, which is where they run after they get out of the crawl space. Maya is attacked again. She sees Pinup Girl in the shed with them. As she kind of fades into the distance, Maya screams, and then Scarecrow Face Man Mask Guy grabs her to the window. Ryan shoots the shotgun at him, misses, of course. They get away. Then they mistakenly shoot the Airbnb owner, thinking that it's Scarecrow Face Mask Guy, and it's not. And I know that's an ode to the original film, but the original had a connection to the main guy, which is like his friend, I believe, that was supposed to come get him because him and Kristen were fighting and they weren't getting along, and he was just over it. So Ryan shoots the Airbnb homeowner. They have their moment. Oh my god, you killed him. Wah, wah, wah. They see that he has car keys. They take the car keys. They want to take his car. And they're like, cool, we have a way out. Like, let's just go. You didn't mean it. Blah, blah, blah. They grab the shotgun. They get in the car. They start driving. Scarecrow Face Mask Guy hits him with the car. Maya has to run. Ryan gets stuck in the car. Maya has to run. This is her kind of stuck in the woods moment. She ends up hiding in a fucking pile of leaves in a big ditch, which, granted, smart. Probably wouldn't have thought of it myself, but it's not that deep of a ditch. And I get that they're in the woods, but it's like she pulls out this flip phone, which I truly don't even remember how she got, but she has a flip phone. She calls 911 and has like no service, right? So the operator can't hear her. She's kind of fading in and out, and she can't talk too loud because she doesn't know who's around her. So she's like, there's people trying to kill me, and it's all just like dramatic and like kind of annoying in the sense of it's I don't know, I just feel like it bothered me. It was very, I don't want to say unrealistic because it's a movie, but I think in a movie that's grounded in so much realism and the fact of like a home invasion can like dead ass happen to somebody, it's a little corny, I guess. And the acting in that scene, sorry Madeleine, love you down boots girl, the acting in that scene was not good. She calls whatever, has to end up leaving. That was so grammatically incorrect, so illiterate. She ends up having to get out of this little like blended in leaf contraption that she made to hide herself because she's trying to get service for the call. Doesn't go through. And then she finds the dead body of the guy from the first scene, the opening scene. Whatever, pointless guy. 100% left this part out. They tied in who the guy was as another missing person who had like came through town and just stopped at the diner for what Ryan had ordered. I think it was a joke, wasn't really sure. It didn't really land for me. But yeah, his name was like Jeremy or some shit. And it was kind of another just a random attack that happened in the town right before they had gotten there, which again, hello, the strangers are the townspeople. Actually, my actual theory is that Maya and Ryan are considered the quote-unquote strangers who are now arriving in this town, and like these people just don't like them. And so Maya and Ryan were actually the strangers in this film because the town was only like 460 something people. So I'm pretty sure every single Earl, Dick, Tom, Betty, and Regina knew each other. So with that said, I really feel like they are the strangers. Not really sure why I mentioned that right now. Completely lost my train of thought with that. So let's get back to the movie. She finds the corpse. It's the guy from the original. I mean, not the original. It's the guy from the opening scene. And then she gets knocked out because why not, right? Then we get Ryan walking through the woods, and he's finally freed himself from the unfortunate crash that he was in and is trying to find Maya. So he's kind of walking through the woods, screaming at the top of his lungs, which is so dumb. But obviously, because of him being so loud, he stumbles across Pinup Girl in the woods and holds a gun to her head. Now, here's the part where I was really, really pissed off, and I was so glad that they saved this. They saved this stupid fucking moment for the end of the film, because Ryan finds Pinup Girl, a woman, as far as I'm concerned, who is harassing and threatening and trying to kill you and your girlfriend with a 15-inch kitchen knife, and you want to have a 40-minute monologue about where's Maya, you know how they say your first kill is the hardest? Well, you're my second. Like, sweetie, we're gonna go from like 1 million and at least bring it down to 100 so we can get our point across and shoot this bitch. He went so hard as to give this whole speech and even mention like, oh, you're my second kill, bitch. Well, first of all, your first one was a mistake. Okay, babe? Your first kill was a joke. It was like an LOL kill, right? Because you didn't mean to do it. You didn't know who it was. There was nothing to it. So like, you're giving yourself a little bit too much with that whole like, you're my second kill thing. Second, me personally, I don't really give a shit where Maya is if I have a gun to your head, because I'm gonna find her with or without you, and I can't trust anything that you're saying anyway. So why would I even take the time to stand there and tell you how I'm gonna end your life, or you're gonna tell me where Maya is and think that this person is either one, really gonna tell me the truth where Maya is if she even knows, or is gonna lie and I'm gonna look like a fucking idiot when they slice and dice me up. Case in point, he gets the shit knocked out of him because he spent 85 hours telling this unknown woman who grabbed his gun and screamed and laughed and did a mini dance in front of him. Yeah, all that happens and he doesn't pull the trigger. Can you believe it? I can, because it happened and I had to watch it. Like, it's just so stupid. He spends all this time talking to her with this double-barrel shotgun to her face, and like, she's literally mocking him, and he doesn't pull the trigger, and then Scarecrow face mask guy comes over and it's just like, boop, knocks him out. Like, truly good for you. And this is another case of me really not giving a shit about the main lead in a Strangers movie. I don't know what it is about this franchise and their male leads, but they're just so insufferable, and I'm just, it's so stupid, because I feel like the same thing happened in the original. He mistakenly shot his friend, and then like you still died. Like, get your shit together. Like, the stakes are high. Get it together. Get on the horse. Get your shit. And survive. Anyway, See, I told you I had a lot of shit to get off my chest, didn't I? Anyway, he gets his shit knocked out. They wake up. They have this moment where, if you've seen the original, you know that they wake up tied up to two chairs next to each other. And they have this like moment of whatever the case may be. Ryan is all like, will you marry me? And she's like, yeah, duh. I'm like, okay, cute spiritual marriage right before death. We love it. Just so you know, if I wake up and I survive this, I am still single. Love you to death, right? Beautiful. This is the end for you. I've loved you. So that whole thing was weird because I don't understand that. And then he gets stabbed and kicked over. And now, if I'm correct, I believe he's kicked over because they kind of wanted like the blood to rush out faster. And I'm guessing since he was stabbed in that certain spot, you bleed out faster if you're on the floor, which makes sense. The blood is running. He gets kicked over. She's like, well, no. Oh my God, why? We get the answer of, because you were here. Versus because you were home in the original film. Now, how I feel about that, I have two different ways. There's a part of me that's like, cool, kind of love it, because it's like, it gives more of a kind of what I said with like Maya and Ryan being the strangers, with them being like, well, because you were here, like, you're not supposed to be here, this is our town, this is kind of like that we've accumulated this space in the world on the map, you should not be here, you should have kept driving. But then it removes the emotional connection to the original and the original's character, because if I'm correct again, it was the family's house of Kristen's boyfriend, James. So there's kind of like an emotional aspect of like, one, why they're in the house, and then for the strangers to come and say because you were home. And it was literally like his childhood home or his parents' home. It was something like that. So yeah, we get the, why are you doing this to us? What do you want? Blah, 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 because you're here. Maya is stabbed. And at this point, drum roll please, we get the cops finally arriving right after she's stabbed and kicked over to the floor. Pretty much guessing that she played dead because she looks pretty dead in the last shot. And then the strangers, they're freaked out, they're alarmed that they hear the sirens, they get in their car, they're off, goodbye. Not really sure how the police didn't see them turn onto the road. Anyway, if you watch it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's very stereotypical. They get away, and Maya is shown in the hospital. So we see that she survived. Ryan's not found. We don't see Ryan. Doesn't necessarily mean that he's dead, even though he really pretty, he looked pretty dead to me, but with horror movies, who knows? But as far as we know, Maya is the only survivor of the two. She's shown in a hospital. And then I think we get the credits, and then there's another mid-credit scene where she wakes up in the hospital bed, and she sits upright, and we see Scarecrow, face mask man guy, laying next to her with his stupid little eye open, and he's like, ugh. Okay, so end movie. I believe I gave it like a 2.5 out of 5 stars, and that felt generous. I saw the movie twice, and the first time I was really not into it, so I really didn't pay attention. Then the digital came out, I bought the digital, and I was like, let me give this its proper run and sit through. Sat down with my partner and just try to enjoy it. Like, it's a fun little slasher cabin in the woods thing. Not the cabin in the woods, because that movie's phenomenal. Do not compare it to this. It is not comparable. Um, but I think because it had, you know, the stranger's name in front of it and kind of what it was built on and the source material that is so loved by a lot of people in the horror community, I think it had to live up to a certain standard, and it didn't. And that doesn't mean it was a bad film. I don't think that I can ever sit here as someone who doesn't work on movies, as far as set, actor, design, writer, director, producer, whatever, and truly say that something was like horrible, because like that's work that people put into a project, and you know they've taken time and effort and whatever the case may be into putting it into this product that they try to give us and please us. I just don't think it was really good. I feel like it may have potential with the second part and the third part to pick up the slack and really give us something scary and reminiscent of kind of old school horror slashers, which I think what it should lean more into now, because we've already lost the whole like horror suspense thing, and atmosphere, and now that we're getting into more unknown territory, which is probably going to be her waking up in the town hospital and kind of realizing that it's this town that's just really twisted. I'm not really sure how. I think Halloween 2 made hospitals scary, but I'm not sure if that's going to be the whole setting of the second movie. I'm not really sure how it's going to do as far as bringing back in the aspect of suspense and tension and anxiety that it unfortunately missed the mark in the first one. So I'm not holding out hope for that. At this point, I'm kind of just going to enjoy what they give us and really just call it chapter 1 and not really call it The Strangers. It's not for me, it's not I really don't want to be like attacked, but I feel like a lot of people really truly feel the same way. It's not a Strangers movie. It's just a slasher. It's just two young people dumb in love making stupid dumb decisions while masked assailants attack them and they try to survive the night. It's not groundbreaking, it's not original, it's not a beat for beat of the original movie, which at this point I wish they would have done, because we would have gotten more of the atmosphere and suspense that gave the first one so much attention and love. But yeah, I'm gonna watch them. I'm gonna watch the other ones. I bought this one, so I mean I can't get a $26 refund for that, but I don't hate it. I don't love it. I'm not really as excited as I was for the rest of them as I was for the first one, because I was dead set excited for this one. But I think with it being a hit with like numbers, I think there's two ways that can go, right? So like, yeah, the first one was a success, but because it was so badly reviewed, it could mean detriment for the second and the third one, in the sense of the first one made so much money but was badly reviewed. So I'm not really sure if the second or third is going to have that big of a turnout, being that the first one didn't do as well as it should have. And so I feel like a lot of people who were like, oh, but it did this, look at how much it made, and first day, first weekend, it's like, great. That's what those people want, right? Like the people who make this movie, they want money from it. That's the point of it, of making it. Not the point of making it, but you know, you hope for a turnout so that the time that you've spent, the effort you've spent putting into the craft pays out. And so I'm happy for that. That's great. Love them for it. But I think it means something worse for the rest of the movies, unfortunately. I think because the turnout was there, but the delivery wasn't, and it wasn't that well received. So yeah, I'm not really sure what it means for part 2 and 3. I'm gonna sit there and watch it. Not sure if I'd buy it. Like, I'm not sure if I'd wait to then buy it, the second or the third part. But knowing me, I probably will buy the second and third part just because I'm more of a collector anyway. So if I have the first one, I need the others. But yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap up there. I think I really got everything off my chest. I think I'm very disappointed, but still hopeful for the rest of the series. I think if you haven't seen the movie, if you're kind of just in the house one day, you see it on whatever streaming platform, give it a watch. It's not the worst movie ever made, but I just expected a lot more, and it just didn't deliver for me personally. You might have loved it. If you love it, that's great. But yeah, I think for me, I'm gonna keep it at, I think I'm gonna give it, we'll do 3 out of 5 now, having seen it again and sat here and like spoke about it. I think fine, whatever, we'll give it a 3. Not the worst movie of the year, not the best, but definitely not that good at the same time. I hope they pick it up for the second and third. I hope it gets better. Fingers crossed. But yeah, I also thought this was just going to be like a 20-minute episode, and we're now almost reaching an hour. So I guess I really did have a lot of shit to get off my chest about this movie. Anyway, we're going to wrap up the episode here. Thank you guys so much for listening. I love my spooky scaries, as always. Please give it a like, a follow, subscribe, and rate the show, whether you get it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. All your support means everything to me. I love you guys. And we're back. This is a new microphone. I'm not sure if you can tell. I love it. It's noise cancellation. Super dope. If you're a podcaster and you want to know which one I have, if you like it, let me know. Shoot me an inbox. And yeah, remember to just keep it spooky, dudes, dudettes, all my friends. Oh, and happy Pride Month. This is the first episode of June, which is officially Pride Month. So all my gays, theys, he's, she's, whatever you want to call yourself, allies, we love you too. We see you. But happy Pride Month to my gays, my LGBTQIA+ community. I love you guys. We should continue to turn up every month as we do for this month. It's also my birthday month, June 28th. So shout out to my Cancers. We're coming up. It's our season. And yeah, I'm excited for the new microphone. I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to be doing this. And yeah, I think I'm going to wrap up right there. Please remember, follow the show on Instagram at The Final Pod. Send me DMs, whatever you want. If you want to know about, if you want to suggest topics for future episodes, Instagram DM is going to be the best way. Or you can email me, thefinalpod@gmail.com. Merch is still coming. Please bear with me on that, but it's coming. And yeah, stay spooky, everyone. I'll see you soon.